Hello, I'm Jackie Roby, Chief Excellence Officer of Inspire Journey Consulting, and I am so very excited to introduce you to Vincie Ho, founder and executive director of Rise Travel Institute.
Thank you for having me, Jackie. I'm so excited.
I'm so pumped to have you here. So I was fortunate enough to hear Vincie speaking on a panel through the Wanderful community in one of the anti-racist movement town halls. And I immediately said, oh, we need to know each other better. So
I'm glad that we're connecting now. It's wonderful. Thank you.
so please tell us more about Rise and your inspiration behind creating it.
Sure. Okay, so I would like to share with everybody like who actually inspired me to start this organization instead of what inspired me to start. So it was my mentor, Mary Pat Champo. I'm giving her a big shout out here, the director of graduate programs at Institute for Humane Education. And I still remember vividly our conversation, like this conversation that we had earlier this year. I told her like how much I missed working in a team. I told her that there are so many things that I care about in the world, but I don't quite know where to focus my energy on and whether I should continue to pursue a project back home in Hong Kong, where I'm from, that I started a few years ago, which has now little potential to grow under the current political situation over there, or if I shall start all over again and create something new here in the US. And here are the three questions that she and other faculty encouraged me to ask myself. What am I passionate about? What am I good at? And what does the world need right now, or the problem that I want to solve? So to answer the first question was easy. Like it was the easiest. Sustainable travel is an area of interest where all my passions meet: travel, education, social justice, animal protection, environmental sustainability, linguistic and cultural exchanges, and social change. All these things like are my lifelong passions. And and then the second question is like, what am I good at? I have been an educator for over 2 decades and I love it. I love, being an educator because I value human connections, and being able to empower people is a very rewarding thing. My background is in humane education, and the purpose of humane education is to help young people understand the interconnectedness of all issues that are impacting our world today, and to realize how our worldviews, our decisions, and everyday actions can actually affect the lives of others, animals, and the planet. So I believe there's something that I could contribute. And what the world needs right now. I founded Rise this summer in the midst of the pandemic. It may sound very risky to start an organization when, companies and organizations are struggling to survive, and when global tourism is for the very first time in recent history brought to a standstill. We believe that this is the best time for us to make good use of this pause to reassess and reflect on all the unsustainable and unjust systems that negatively impacted local communities, economies, and ecosystems around the world pre-COVID. So, and also we also thought it was important for us to play our part in responding to the rising global anti-racism movement and explore ways to move the tourism industry towards a more inclusive one. And we believe that the best way to do it is to do it through education. So a little background about myself as a traveler. As an avid traveler, I started to travel by myself when I was 20 years old. So that was like some 25 years old ago. And oops, I just expressed my age, but never mind. So while I really appreciate
Embrace that.
yeah. So yeah, while I really appreciate how how travel has opened my eyes and changed me for the better, like transformed me into a better person. I also witnessed like countless unsustainable tourism practices firsthand, and the impact of over tourism before the pandemic.
Mm.
And I myself am guilty of some of these unsustainable or not so ethical practices in the past without really being aware of them. So I realize that more often than not, like it's not that tourists have the intention to do harm, but it's more like their decisions are uninformed. So some 10 years ago, I joined one of these overseas volunteer programs to work in an orphanage in Kigali, Rwanda, for a few weeks. I know it sounds horrible now. But back then, I thought it was the right thing to do. I thought it was a good thing to do, right? Like to travel and to give back at the same time, but not realizing or recognizing that, like that was motivated by our white savior complex and not knowing the consequences of it. The children there were exposed to strangers who come and go, take their pictures, take away the jobs of the locals, and teach things that are completely unstructured because, the volunteers have too little time to really get to know the children and to follow their progress. So this is one of the many examples of a well-intentioned but unsustainable initiative that many tourists nowadays still believe is the right thing to do. And we want to like share more knowledge and the tools for travelers to really understand their impacts and to choose the best way to travel mindfully.
Wow. That's really beautiful. And, one of the things that I appreciate about your story and the work that you're doing is, recognizing that we don't know what we don't know. Right?
Exactly.
And giving tools because I think that's what holds people back so many times from having difficult conversations, from doing things and then going, oh wait, I didn't do that right, and then there's this sort of feeling that creeps in, right, of
Yeah,
guilt or frustration or anger, however it manifests in different people, and really it's okay,
it
it's
is okay. Absolutely. It's a learning process. We are still all learning. And even now that we have an institute that provides all these knowledge and tools to people, but we are also learning as well. And it's important that we're not afraid of sharing, talking about how like what we did wrong and how we can do better.
Mhm. Exactly. And there's a beauty of embracing imperfection and saying, I made this change, didn't do this one. Okay. But next time
Yeah,
I will.
exactly.
I love that. So I know that you're one of the things that you're working on as well. One of your values is really, anti-racism, diversity, equity, and inclusion. How is that brought into your education?
Um, do you mean like how we're going to bring that into our educational program or like okay.
Yeah.
So we okay, so what set Rise apart amongst all the available sustainable tourism programs out there, we are going to intentionally discuss important issues surrounding travel, but through an anti-oppression lens. So
Mhm.
basically, everything that we talk about like environmental sustainability, animal abuse in the tourism industry, or like um, you know discussions about identity, for example, or the discovery of identity through travel. Everything will be talked about or discussed through an anti-oppression lens. Our primary goal is to equip students to our primary goal is to equip students even before they start to travel with the knowledge and the tools to do the most good and the least harm to their travel destinations. And we want to help our students to see the world in a different way, cultivate empathy, and also to create space for the young generation to have difficult conversations and inspire them to ask the right questions. Because travel is not just about ourselves, travel is about our impact on others too. So we want to be able to like talk about all these things so that young people, when they go into when they start to travel, and also when some of them start to enter the tourism industry workforce, we want them to become professionals who will eagerly embrace sustainability and diversity, equity and inclusion, and build these elements into their work so that we can push the tourism industry towards a more inclusive one.
I just think it's such a gift that you've created this, and thank you.
Thank you.
I know that you are looking in the young students and young professionals. I think this is that Rise, what you've created, what you're working on, is something that anybody could benefit from. Is that open and available to students of all ages?
Yes. So while university students are our primary target audience, we actually will be opening up our program for everyone. So for university students, we'll be providing scholarships for those who are from underrepresented or underprivileged backgrounds so that they can study and travel with us for free. But we're also aware that sustainable travel education would be beneficial to like people of all ages too. And therefore, our program will also be open to anyone who's interested. The major difference is that full-time students will have to enroll in the entire program,
Okay.
and so that they can get like credits or like certificates and like be eligible for the scholarships. But then for people who are not university students, they can just like take any individual courses that interest them.
Love that. That's really exciting. Will the entire course itself for students be the length of a semester?
Yeah, it's gonna last 3 months there, so
Okay.
like pretty much like a semester. There will be like 10 sessions altogether. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what you're working on and how we can learn more about Rise Travel Institute and support you.
Sure. So the first announcement is that we will have our official launch party on December 9th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. We're so excited, and Jackie, you're invited. So it's going to be our first official event. Of course, it's going to take place on, virtually, so that everybody can join. So during the launch, we will have a chance to share with everybody what exactly we do at Rise, and give everybody a sneak peek of the curriculum outline, like what courses will there be for people to enroll in January, and also there's going to be a travel trivia. So we want to inject some fun into a launch party. So that's going to be like prizes to give away, and also we're going to introduce our team as well, because what I'm really like super grateful for is that when I started Rise in June, together with two friends, like two very good friends of mine. One of them is Mary Pat Champo, my mentor, who agreed to sit on the board. And then, yeah, so that was pretty much it. I didn't know like how much traction that Rise would gain in the coming months, but over the last 4 months, we have built a solid team of 25 people. Everyone is super dedicated. They believe in our vision and mission. They approached us and say, hey, this is some much needed work that you're doing, and we want to be a part of it. So I'm really grateful for my colleagues, and at the launch party, I'll get the chance to introduce them to all of you.
That's huge.
Thank
Wow.
you.
I'm honestly, I'm blown away that, because I've seen your website. I saw how many people were on your team. You're my hero.
I am really, really touched when they approached me and say, "Hey, I've got some time and like I've been in the industry for so many years. I believe that, I can help Rise grow and, contribute." I I just don't know what to say to thank them. And if you're hearing this today, please know that I am really grateful for each and every one of you with all your expertise and experience and academic background, everything, and your dedication, most important of all, to just like believe in something that hasn't even started yet, right? Like our program would launch, our first pilot program would launch in April 2021. So we are like, everything is in the making, but the level of trust that they have for what, like the belief in what we can do or we can potentially achieve is just huge. It means a lot to me.
It's extraordinary.
Yeah.
There are opportunities to donate as well, correct?
Yes, correct. I if you love what we do and if you believe in how we can change, you know, if you believe that we can change or we can do or bring about like mindset change and behavior change, um, please support us. You can donate on our through our website. We have a donate button, and there's a choice between like a one-off donation or like being a monthly donor. So like any sort of support will be appreciated. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. So for people that subscribe to the Inspire Journey Consultant newsletter, I will be sending out all of the information with links.
Awesome.
So otherwise, Google, look to your bio, you'll be
Yeah,
tagged
thank
for
you.
Rise Travel Institute. So we really look forward to that. And before we
Thank
wrap up,
you.
I would love to know what you do for your self care.
What I do for my self-care? That's a very good question. Um, this I wasn't able to answer this question last year when there were so many things going on like worldwide, especially back in my home city with all the social uprising and oppression and things like that. I just like for many months I just couldn't I just couldn't manage, couldn't work, couldn't it was very bad. But then now I before I started Rise, I just like one day said to myself that look, like we all have our own role to play in this world and do what you can. There are things that we might not be able to change, but do what you can change. So, um, together with the encouragement by Mary Patton, and all the people around me, they just gave me an immense, encouragement. And I started Rise, and now Rise is basically my self-care tool. So like whenever I work on towards a purpose, it's important that we have a purpose in life. And I think this is what helps me to stay sane. And because if you believe in what you're doing and what you're doing has a purpose, it really helps to keep you emotionally sane. I know it may not work for everybody. My cousin is a yoga trainer. She told me to like, hey, why don't you do meditation? And I know that this works a lot, like works for many people. Um, but my main self-care is to work on something that I love, and that really helps me.
I think that's beautiful. Self care is different for everyone. And what you're doing is you're igniting that fire element within you, that inspiration. And that helps to create this beautiful sense of joy in your life. So I thank you for sharing that and for sharing your
Thank
story
you.
behind it. Um,
Thank you.
You are a powerhouse. I'm incredibly grateful that you've been here. And
Jackie, please hold me accountable. Next year around this time, look at what we've done with our programs, and if there's something that's not like anything that I'm promising today, hold me accountable.
done.
Okay. But
I
thank you for this opportunity. I really appreciate that you reach out and that you appreciate our work and are so supportive. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Let's change the world.
Yes, let's do it together.